What is up, guys? It is another edition of Riding Home. Dylan Webber, Matt DeBary. We are in a very tight spot here in outside a staircase in Busby right now. Just heard Kirby Smart and some of the players talk about Notre Dame. Matt, what were your initial reactions?
Yeah, it wasn't the biggest, most flashiest press conference from Kirby. Didn't give anything away that would make headlines or anything like that, but talked really highly of Notre Dame, as he should. They've got a really fast defense. They've got an offense that has put up a lot of points, and he mentioned how great their coaching staff is. So you got the regular verbiage from Kirby about the opponent and this and that, but there was a lot of media in attendance, and it's clear that this is a big game. But he talked about injuries a little bit, and just talked how it affects recruiting a little bit, and it all matters. And obviously this is a big game. It's one that Georgia fans and Notre Dame fans have circled for a long time, and you could feel it in the room that this is a big deal. A lot of people there, a lot of media there, but he didn't really give a ton to talk about, it seemed.
Yeah, I thought he was. I thought there was going to be a little more from him, but I mean, he was very businesslike today. I mean, more so than usual, I'd say. There wasn't no real smiles from him, but nothing like angry or frustrating from him as well. He was just straight business, just very calm and relatively short answers, I think, generally to what he gives. I mean, you mentioned the injury part. We'll kind of roll over what he said there. Demetrius Robertson, he said he expects to play, I think.
Lower extremity.
Yeah, lower extremity. I mean, we do believe it is a hamstring issue at this point, but we don't think it's too severe. Right. Tyler Simmons, he said, thinks should be all right with the shoulder injury that he suffered on Saturday, but says, he won't know much until later today. So we'll have to hear about that more from him tomorrow.
Same with Isaiah Wynn, right?
Isaiah Wilson, yeah.
Right.
It sounds like he maybe could go this week from what we've been hearing, but if you got Cade Mays, why risk it anymore? That's kind of our understanding of where they are at with Isaiah Wilson.
He's not 100%.
Yeah, it sounds like he will be able to dress out, though, in case of an emergency. But once again, we are not 100% certain on that. What else? He said Kieris has been playing, but, he's been playing with the club.
Yeah. Talked a little bit about the secondary. There were a lot of basic questions that came with obvious answers, and I think Kirby was like, cool, these are kind of softballs, and I'll answer them, but not, go into detail. And he didn't go into a ton of detail today about much of anything, and I think, he doesn't want to with a big game like this. The less you say, the better, and that's kind of what we got today.
Yeah, absolutely. Like you said, it was all very kind of vague, a lot of it. A lot of questions you feel today were about that 2017 game and just what it meant for Georgia. And he did speak somewhat highly on what it meant then, and so did the players. I think J.R. Reed said that game was kind of truly the beginning of the Kirby Smart era, because that's when they realized what they were capable of.
Yeah, and how good they could be, especially on defense. They made a lot of plays, and a lot of those guys who made plays on defense in 2017 are gone. There is no Lorenzo Carter, Roquan Smith, Evan Bellamy type, so there will be a lot of guys who need to step up and make plays. And, Kirby said he feels pretty confident and that both of these are two big programs. They're not going anywhere soon, so didn't, again, say a whole lot, but he said enough.
Do you think that 2017 game was kind of the jump start of the Kirby Smart era?
No, I think we're good. We're doing this in a stairwell, so there's a lot of stuff that can come in and out. But no, that's absolutely true. Come on. Georgia was coming off his first season. What were they, 8-4?
Yeah, 8-5, I think, with the Liberty Bowl win.
Yeah, and again, all the Georgia fans that were there, it was a big deal for everyone. So that was definitely the jumping point. He didn't want to come out and say that specifically, but that is when this program really took a turn and turned into what it is now.
Because other than that 2016 season, what else was there to be the jumping point? Maybe the Auburn win at home, that was a big one. But still, it just seemed like that whole season floundered a little bit.
We didn't know how good Notre Dame was then either. It turned out they were actually really good. But I think that's when this team really came together and said, hey, we're really good. We just went up Notre Dame, beat a good team. So this time both teams are in the top 10. I think both teams were in the top 25 last year. I think it was a top 25 matchup. Now it's a top 10 matchup. I think I don't know if this Georgia team is better than the 2017 team, but I do think the Notre Dame team this year is probably a little better than they were 2 years ago.
And specifically, you look at quarterback Ian Book, I would say he is way better than what Brandon Wimbush was for him.
No doubt.
You know, he can run the ball as well, maybe not as fast as Brandon Wimbush, but can throw the ball way better. I think J.R. Reed said he was a little bit Johnny Manziel-like to him, and then said if he was playing Madden, he would for sure QB spy him.
Yeah. And again, it's tough for everyone to really give a good indication on what Notre Dame is because they're only 2-0. They haven't played anyone. They haven't been tested. Georgia really hasn't either. I mean, Vanderbilt, turns out, isn't really all that great. So Georgia hasn't been truly tested or had any adversity. So we're going to see what both of these teams are like. I do think both of these teams are really, really good and deserve to be in the top 10. And we'll see. But Kirby talked about their defensive line, how good they were. He talked about how experienced they were on the offensive line. So Notre Dame is a team that can play really well in the trenches.
Yeah, I mean, their offensive line, that was a big talk of the game in 2017, and I mean Davin Bellamy and Lorenzo Carter just, I mean, I don't know what to say, killed them on the edge.
That was both of their best games of their career, I think, and that's where Roquan really took off. People knew he was good, but he dominated that game, and then was like, okay, this kid is probably going to be an All-American if he keeps playing like this, and he's been terrific ever since.
Yeah, and once again, Kirby did mention just how mature that team was. I mean, we were wondering if this team is better than this 2019 Georgia team was better than that 2017 Georgia team. And talent-wise, you have to say maybe at least, but maturity-wise, it's hard to say that this team would be more mature than that 2017 team. Like you said, Roquan, Lorenzo, Aaron Davis, all back there on the defense. It's just way more mature. But talent.
There's a lot of leadership on this team as well, too.
Absolutely.
I mean, definitely had it with the veterans in 2017, but this 2019 team, especially on defense too, does have a lot of options. And then you've got Jake Fromm leading the offense and this and that. So similar teams for sure.
True. And Jake Fromm, this has been kind of a big deal that's been made as well because once again, that Notre Dame game was not the jumping point for just Kirby, but him as well. That was his first career start, his first, win, I guess, other than App State. But now people are kind of circling back and just looking, how far has he come since then and what that game meant to him. I mean, that game he played, I thought, pretty well for his first start especially. I can't really remember what he ended with. 2 touchdowns and a pick maybe?
The numbers weren't great, but he did have the touchdown to Terry Godwin. That'll be lived in Georgia Bulldog history. Yeah. Had the big long touchdown to Mecole. That was dropped. That was the first time we really got to see Mecole at wide receiver.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. So it was a team that was really coming together. We saw a lot of different, weapons, and that all started with Notre Dame. So a lot of good memories coming back, for Georgia fans this week, remembering that game in Chicago and everything that happened. It was just a big game for not only the team and Coach Smart and Kirby and Jake, but for the whole program and the fan base too.
It's a big deal is being made about this game, but the line opened at 12.5 for Georgia.
I thought that was high.
I thought it was too, but apparently someone texted me today that some people have it at 14.
I heard 14. What's going on, man? I heard it was 14 last night, and then I looked. I think it was 13.5. I don't know what it is now, but top 10 matchup. I mean, that says a lot to what people think about this Georgia team.
I don't know. I mean, what would you take right now if it was at 14, over or under?
Oh, my initial thought was under. But I guess the more I think about it, and we'll see how they are at practice and this and that, and it'll change. But it wouldn't surprise me at all if Georgia kind of took it to them and ran away with it in the second half, kind of got a late touchdown or so. But I don't think it's going to be a blowout, and I think it'll be a close game at the half. And I think that's when whoever wins it's going to do it in the second half.
I mean, it could be like one of those classic Georgia games where, third quarter, it's still really close, 3-point, 7-point game. And, it doesn't look like Georgia is dominating. They're winning for sure. But, that third quarter is where they always seem to pull away against teams like this. It's like the Kirby Smart motto. It's just you run them down. I mean, you just ground and pound it, and the defense gets tired, especially if they don't have the guys to keep up with it.
Especially in this game, it doesn't seem like Notre Dame's had a ton of success stopping the run so far in their first 2 games. So I definitely think that's a part of the game where Georgia can really dominate the line of scrimmage, run the football, and really run away with it. But yeah, it's been tough doing this in the stairwell for sure.
It's really rough. I mean, I don't know if y'all have noticed, but we have had maybe 5-6 people just coming through in and out. There's really no good place here to do it.
Maybe we should ask them to join and ask one of them a question next time.
Honestly, yeah. I mean, we've had Leland come through, one of the football SIDs here, Kevin Mobley, one of the assistant.
They've done their best to be quiet. I hope it hasn't been. Real quick, was there anything from the guys before we wrap this up that you thought was interesting?
No, I mean, once again, they all just. I mean, Cade Mays especially, just a big smile on his face. You know, he wasn't very. I was about to say wasn't very serious. He was very serious about it, but he was very laid back.
It's crazy how young these kids are, because Cade Mays said, he learned about Notre Dame traditions from the 30 for 30 Catholics versus convicts and watching Rudy. That's what he thinks of it at Notre Dame. You might be a little too young too, but and maybe I'm to a certain stick, but Notre Dame used to win championships over and over again, and there was a while, somewhat recently, where they were not very good at all. So it's not like you're going up against one of those high-powered Notre Dame teams that was playing against Miami back in the day. This is still a very good Notre Dame team, but I do think there's an air of confidence from the players and everyone kind of in the building about how this game's going to go down on Saturday.
I mean, especially it being a home game.
Yeah.
For the guys who probably played in that game in 2017, you have to think that they're feeling just way better about what it is now.
Yeah. And they got asked about the fans and the attendance and the black on stuff like that, and all the players were quick to say, hey, the scoreboard's our enemy. That was another nice Cade Mays quote. He was good when I was watching, but
He's a good quote.
A lot of them are focused on this game. They said it's just what we do on the field. It's nice to have the fans on our back, and the stadium will look cool going into the fourth quarter and this and that, and it'll be a fun experience, but at the end of the day, it's football. We got to do our jobs, and we can't really focus ourselves with that.
All right, I think we should end it there before another mass herd of Georgia football or Georgia athletic employees come through here. If y'all are listening, go to dogpost.com. We will have a lot more content up this week. Thank y'all for listening.